Okay, Project Zomboid, version 41.78.16 is the one we're playing here, just in case you check this video out years from now and you go, that's not the way it works. Yeah, just there will have been some updates or something. Okay, so this video is going to be on PvP base building. So when building a base on a PvP Zomboid map, you normally have two choices. You can either build way out in the wilderness, so your base is going to be really hard to find, but of course you're miles from the action. It's difficult to get to supplies, you can't store a car easily because of course you can't drive it through the forest, just a whole lot of pain. Or alternatively, you can build in town, but of course this risks you being found, you're more likely to be raided, lose all your stuff, and that's a pain as well. So, the solution that I use for building a base is, let's zoom in on the map here. You want to find any building with an elevator shaft. So, this building is going to be the one that I'm going to use for my example here. As you can see, the elevator shaft is completely enclosed and goes directly up the entire building from ground to roof, not counting the actual on the roof. Okay, so to start things off, you want to get your carpentry up to be able to build staircases, and then staircase up the outside of the building. I'm going to be staircasing up from the helipad here, just because that way I get a door between myself and the zombies that might hear me during my carpentry work and want to come say hi. So get your supplies together and start taking them up to the roof. You're going to need one small forest worth of wood. Depending on the size of the base you need, of course, you need maybe a half dozen boxes of nails. For this plan to work though, you also need one sledgehammer and around 50 sheet ropes, and I'll get to why shortly. Okay, so when constructing the base, I suggest a gap of around 3 spaces all the way around the edge between yourself and the edge of the building is a good gap size to have. This is so that when people are driving by below or just running around on the map normally, they've got much less chance of spotting you. Like, yes, we're going to be a defended PvP base, but it still helps to have people not know where you are. This stops people ambushing you when you come out of your base. It stops them you just don't want people to see you just because you're built right up to the edge. So I find a gap of 3 spaces convenient. Don't worry too much about the wall quality. If you can only build level 1 or 2 walls, you can always come back and upgrade them once you've finished your base, when your carpentry is nice and high. I think it takes 1 wood to upgrade a wall to level 3, so if you're wanting a nice good looking base with no holes, then yeah, you can come back and tidy that up at the end. Okay, so as you can see, I've mapped out where the elevator shaft is directly below where I'm building. You don't need to map out each individual square, but you will need to map out the outside of it. This is key to our plan, and I will show you what we're doing with it by skipping ahead a little here. Okay, so the outside here has been mostly walled in. On the inside, you want to build 8 window frames. Then you grab your sledgehammer, you destroy a piece of ground, and you wall it in. Rinse, repeat down the middle. So if you don't know how to target with a sledgehammer, by the way, the R button, assuming you have default buttons, R will cycle through from I want to hit the wall to I want to hit the ground. Be very, very careful. Obviously, we're above an elevator shaft here. If you accidentally take a step forward here, you're going to fall to your death, and that would be a very embarrassing death. You'd have to start getting your carpentry up all over again. It's you can take my word for it, it's a pain in the butt. I have actually done that once before. Okay, so get your sledgehammer, hit a hole, get some wood, build a wall, rinse, repeat. Once we do this, we're going to then attach sheet ropes from each window down the holes. So we're going to have 8 sheet ropes dangling. Each one takes the number of sheet ropes multiplied by the number of stories that your building has. So in this case, I believe I need 6 sheet ropes per window that I want to attach one to, hence needing around 50, give or take, depending on how tall your building is. Then we're going to destroy the floor outside all but one of the windows and wall behind them as well. And so the end result is going to be a bit of a death trap for anyone that happens to find the way into our base. So eventually we go down into the bottom of the elevator shaft and we pop a door in with a sledgehammer. And if anyone finds our door, which will just be the only visible part of our base really, they will see 8 sheet ropes dangling down. 7 of them, if they hit climb on that sheet rope, they'll climb over a window, fall down the other side, and die. You need to know which sheet rope is actually the one of 8 that will lead you to safety. And we can even go further than that, in that if you suspect that someone's, say you've got a bunch of bodies down the bottom of your elevator shaft because someone's been throwing away their fresh Zomboid characters to figure out which of the sheet ropes is the one that they want to climb in order to raid your base, you can destroy the floor of the way that is safe and wall it in, and build a floor in one of the other ones and a door, and you just change which of the 8 dangling sheet ropes is the safe way into your base, which prevents people from systematically working out how to get into your base in the long run. So as long as you log in occasionally and change things around, anyone that has found your base still won't be able to raid it. Okay, some other things to note when attaching sheet ropes. When you have too many in a small area, it can actually get a little bit finicky. This is this particular build version. There's not much you can do about that. If you play around long enough, you will be able to attach them, as long as you've got, say, 5 or 6 sheet ropes. So as long as there's a good selection and they're not just getting a 50-50 chance of getting into your base, I would say that's fine. Okay, a few last things just to tidy up and minimize the chances of your base being found. There are really 3 things that'll give away a homemade base. The first is plumbing. This is easy, wear up high. As long as you keep your water tanks relatively central, people shouldn't be able to see them from the ground level. So yeah, just put your plumbing towards the center of the base. That's nice and easy. The second one is wooden walls. Now there are a couple of different approaches that you can go for this. I've gone for the space of 3 around the edge to minimize the chance that I'm seen, but even given that, it's still worth plastering. If I was on a building that wasn't, you can see it's got brick coloured walls. You can't paint your walls brick coloured, unfortunately. That's not one of the options. There's no wallpaper for that or anything. But if you're on a building, like say a hospital building that's just completely grey, you could plaster your walls and then paint them grey and actually put them right up against the edge, and it would look like just another story of the hospital just without windows, which would be quite difficult to spot. If you're in my situation though, where your building is not a colour that you can paint, build back from the edge. Plastering will still minimise the chance of you being seen by people just driving by. There is a little bug in this version. As you can see here, I can't plaster the door. It's it just doesn't let me, so that's okay. I stick my door behind a satellite dish there to try and minimise the chance that it's seen. It's not a perfect disguise, again, and I'll show you what it looks like from below later. But yeah, I do recommend plastering. It's easy. I think 1 packet of plaster covers something like 8 walls. It doesn't take much to do a base, and every little bit that you can add to your disguise and chance of blending into the background helps. And the last thing is generators. Obviously they're noisy and attract zombies. Up on the roof here it won't be too much of a problem, but if anyone ever sees a generator on a building, then yeah, they just well, they're pretty sure there's a base there and they'll come along and check it out. So do stick your generator somewhere that's not obvious, either up with your water supply with the barrels, or I'm going to stick mine behind a satellite dish because that way it just can't be seen, or very nearly can't be seen. There is one trick with generators in a building like this. All the top floors are going to have their lights and power active. So you need to run around the building after you've installed your generator, turn it on, go inspect generator, see how many lights are being powered, and go around the building and actually turn those lights off so that you're not just a big lighthouse to anyone that happens to be driving by at night. And unfortunately in this version, when the moderator, the person running the map, resets their server, if they need to reboot their computer or something, for some reason it resets every light that's connected to a building, like randomly on or off. So you got to do it every time. Once all this is done, pull out your trusty sledgehammer and bash away those staircases. Don't want to leave alternate routes up to the top of your base, or big signs saying "Here I am." Staircases, another little bug in this version. They seem to leave the top of the staircase when you destroy it. Eagle-eyed people will be able to spot this, but again, it doesn't really matter. It's they're not going to be able to walk up. You can see there, in fact, that I've got the legs of one of my staircases still there after I've destroyed it. Little things like this, I assume they'll fix in time, but for the time being, destroy the staircases, and that is it. Let's take a look at what the base looks like from the outside. This is panned out as far as I can go, and as you can see, if you're not actually looking for it, you're probably not even going to notice that that's not part of the original building. It's quite well camouflaged. If you get close enough, obviously it'll zoom into the building, and you won't even be looking at the top story. This is a building where they have very little reason to go inside because there's no food or guns or anything like that. It's just an office building. If they happen to walk past the first floor elevator, then sure, they will might notice your door. But again, to get inside, they've got to get past your death traps, and that's not easy. Hopefully there's been something here that you find useful. If you've got any questions, do feel free to ask, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. And otherwise, maybe I'll see you around the Zomboid neighborhood sometime. See ya.